Oh boy, come on, man. Really? Canon, we need to have a talk. But first, I'm gonna need that intro, baby.
I'm a beast mode, yeah. Kick it both feet though, yeah. I got veto, yeah. Blood like C4, yeah. Good love, sweet love, yeah. Cape like hero, yeah. Double M zeros, yeah. Double M zeros, yeah, yeah.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Neil Lopez here. Welcome back to the channel. And yes, Canon, we need to have a talk. Reason being is obviously the rumors and the awaiting of the new Canon EOS R5 and my thoughts exactly on it. And the reason for it is because Canon just came out of nowhere back in early May, maybe the end of April, talking about this new camera that they're going to have coming out, which seems all fine and dandy. But here's the thing. Canon has crippled their cameras for some time now, with the exception of obviously the C500, and which is more of a cinema camera, and also the 1DX Mark III. I myself would love to have a 1DX Mark III. Heck, I'd still even take a 1DX Mark II. It's just kind of always been my dream camera for the past few years. But with the new EOS R5, I mean, let's just be real here. First and foremost, if you're going to announce a camera, I need you to tell me the price.
Tell me!
Secondly, I understand that, you may be working out bugs with the camera, or, trying to get this feature list put up that you state that it's going to happen or have. But I find it really hard to believe. I may be pleasantly surprised, but that's why I'm just doing this video today, to give my thoughts on what the potential may be of the EOS R5. Now, supposedly, it's going to have a crap ton of specs, and you probably already heard them, but I'll run them down real quick. 8K RAW, non-cropped internal recording up to 30 frames per second. Also non-cropped eternal recording 8K video up to 30 frames per second, 10-bit 422 internally, Canon log, or 422 10-bit HDR PQ. Non-cropped internal video 4K recording up to 120 frames a second. That's beautiful. 120 4K, that's enough for me. 422 10-bit log, Canon log, or 422 10-bit via the HDMI port in HDR PQ up to 60 frames a second. Dual pixel autofocus available in all video modes. And as we know, Canon's autofocus is fantastic, especially when you have dual pixel. And then 5-axis optical image stabilization. Also dual card slots, one CF Express and one SD UHS-2. All right, so let's run this down real quick. And these are my opinions, and please don't scold me for them. It's just my humble opinion about the camera. Let's start off with the recording quality. 8K. Okay, non-cropped, great. We don't like crops, especially in a full frame camera. That would be fantastic. But 8K, you're going to be able to use an 8K sensor, the full width of the sensor? I don't know. Non-cropped internal recording for 8K video. Okay, 8K RAW is one thing. 8K RAW is fantastic, but 422 10-bit in log, as well as another codec, HDR PQ. What? Non-cropped 4K 120 frames per second in Canon log. Not just a picture profile, but in Canon log. And that's supposed to be 422 10-bit as well? What?
What?
All right, so dual pixel autofocus. Wait a minute. Dual pixel autofocus on a huge sensor, 8K and 4K is going to give you, and it's going to give you the ability to maximize that entire sensor, and you're going to have autofocus across the entire sensor. What?
You guys led us to this. Thank you.
All right, so I don't know. I'm just kind of skeptical. I mean, I would love to see it, but also I want to know what it's going to cost. Now, there's rumors floating around it's going to be around the same price as the 5D Mark IV when it came out, but they're two separate cameras. We're talking about years later, so I don't know why people keep comparing the 5D Mark IV's price to now this Canon EOS R5 that's supposedly coming. In my opinion, I think it's going to be every bit of $5,000, at least $49.95 or $99, whatever They decided to come up with, a lot of people and a lot of rumor sites are thinking it's going to be around $4,000. Great. If it's $4,000 and it can pack these many features, then that's awesome. But in my opinion, I think some things are going to happen, and a lot of things people aren't taking into consideration. The 8K RAW, okay, I get it. It's awesome. It sounds good. The 8K 10-bit up to 30 frames per second, fantastic. It sounds great. Who uses 8K? Do you have an 8K display? Do you have an 8K phone that, or a tablet or a monitor? No. So really, what's the point? Okay, I get it. 8K image, downsample it to 4K, you're going to get a super duper clean 4K image. That's if the 8K sensor works well. All right, so that's just my opinion on it. Secondly, if you are editing 8K footage, do you have the computer speed, the GPU, the memory, the hard drive space, more importantly, to edit that particular video or sets of videos? Chances are, if you haven't got a super beefed up machine, whether that be a Windows machine or a Mac machine, you're probably not going to be able to edit that kind of codec. You're going to have something really substantial. Now, myself, I rock an Apple MacBook 16-inch with the Core i9. It also has the 32 gigs of RAM, and it has the, I didn't forgot. What is it? I don't know. Let's see. I forgot the graphics card. It's the newest graphics card that you can get in the MacBooks. Yeah, the Radeon Pro 5500 8GB. And I'm still kind of skeptical on whether or not that could, actually handle 8K video. I haven't tried it yet. The most I've tried is 4K on my Canon EOS R and my Fujifilm X-T3. And even at 10-bit, externally, via the Ninja 5 ProRes, it still cuts through it. But 8K is a totally different beast. So who really knows? But still, you got to think about stuff like that. Will you actually have the computer speed to process and edit and scrub and render those types of video files? Another thing I think folks are not thinking about is that CF Express card. Those are expensive. And yes, you can use an external recorder, but not everyone wants to, or not everyone has an external recorder. So you need to think about stuff like that. Yes, get an external recorder. Get a 1 terabyte SSD to throw in there, but I guarantee you that 8K is going to fill up a 1 terabyte SSD in absolutely no time, let alone the CF Express cards that you have in there. And in case you guys didn't know, those cards are super expensive. I mean, they're like, I think you can get a 128 gig card, and you got to get the proper card that can read and write the video files to the camera quick enough. I think those are around $300 to $400. So another thing to think about. Now, image stabilization, fantastic. Canon hasn't had that, and that would be absolutely awesome. But I think a lot of folks are still thinking that image stabilization with the lens, and now supposedly coming in that body, is going to solve all your shakiness, your jitters, your judders, all that stuff. IBIS is not to be confused with replacing a gimbal. It does help, of course, but it's fine to have IBIS. I mean, a lot of times I've shot without IBIS. The X-T3 does not have IBIS in body. The lens that I have does, and it does take some of the micro jitters out, but that just really depends on the person. So, I mean, that's just kind of like my thoughts on it. I would love the fact that it is 4K, uncropped, and it does 120p. 4K, 24 or 30, and then 60 as well. And if it did 10-bit internal 422, that's plenty. If I was to get this camera, if it came with all these features, excluding the 8K RAW, that would be a perfect camera for me. So you really just got to weigh it and say, how am I going to use this camera? How can I use the camera, not just out in the field and with what I'm recording, but how can I use this camera efficiently with the video codecs that it's supposed to have with it, and be able to edit this stuff on my computer? So, just think about that kind of stuff, guys. It would be really nice, but considering the C300 Mark III just launched and the 1DX Mark III launched as well, I would find it hard to believe that they're going to price it so low and knock those two cameras that haven't been out that long right out into left field in place of the R5. Yes, I know the R5 is more aimed at prosumers versus cinema cameras, but at the same time, the 1DX Mark III, I doubt it's going to be very much cheaper than that, especially since that camera does 5.5K RAW and this one is supposed to do 8K. You just got to think about how crippled is that 8K going to be as far as how much you're going to be able to record. Is it going to be 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 10 minutes? Also, how fast are you going to fill up a CF Express card? Or if it's going to allow you to record longer than those, times, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes, you'll have to use an external monitor. And then, obviously you can buy a 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte drive and whatnot, but then how fast are you going to fill it up? So really, will it be that efficient? It may be nice to have. It may be good for future proofing when other recorders and devices and as cards get cheaper for storage. But at the current time, with the way gear is and storage and memory, and then also thinking about mainly your computer, whether or not you're going to be able to edit and scrub and render that kind of footage is something you really need to think about. So I think computer and then storage, or how you're going to store this stuff, is a big thing. Again, if I seen 422 10-bit 4K 24, 30, 60, 120 in this camera, I would be thoroughly impressed, and I would think it would be worth every bit of $4,000. Now, it hasn't been confirmed on the photography side of things, I don't think, but if you're looking at an 8K sensor, you're probably looking around 48 megapixels as far as the stills go, which would be fantastic. That would be right up there with, say, the Sony A7R III and A7R4. But, again, what are you going to use this camera for? Obviously it's aimed more at videographers, but it'd be nice to have that those photography features in it as well. So, the hype is all real. We've all seen it. We're all waiting for it. So hopefully Canon will announce something soon and say when it's going to ship and the actual details, the features, and the specifications that it's supposed to have when it launches. And then also, I'm sure there'll be bugs. I'm sure there'll be firmware updates, really quickly after that once folks start to get using it. So give me your thoughts down in the description below about what you think this Canon EOS R5 is actually going to have when it debuts, if you plan on getting one, and what you think the price is going to be. All right, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video today. If you like the video, please consider subscribing and hit that bell icon so you get the notifications. And until my next video, hasta luego.
Yeah, got me in a whole team, man. Walking around feeling like He-Man. There's so much, make it right here. Take a light year for you to get even. I mean it. I drink chai tea in the evening, yeah. Drink green tea in the morning, yeah.